Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. I'm Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I am not a real therapist, but I play one on the internet just for the show. And as with every session of film therapy, I have a guest patient, and my guest patient today is Mr. Jonny Loquasto. Hello, come on in. You're welcome to bring the Pringles with you. Just don't forget your
A
microphone.
little bit hungry. How's it going, everybody?
I mean, we did just do a show before this, so it makes sense that you're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It takes 9 hours to drive to El Segundo.
It does. Where are you located?
I was
Kind
in
of.
Studio City. Is
Oh
where.
dear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear. See, the thing is, I used to live in Burbank, so I was a lot closer than I am now
Right.
to everyone.
I love El Segundo. It's an amazing neighborhood. I have one of my good buddies in comedy lives literally down the street on Sierra.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
everyone is down the street in this city because
oh,
it's like a mile radius in all directions.
I would love to live here. This is like my favorite. I'm a big Orange County fan, but this is
Hmm.
my favorite city that's in kind of LA County. Like
Yeah.
I think El Segundo is the perfect spot to live.
I think so too. That's
Yeah.
why I'm
I
here.
don't blame you.
All right. So if you have never joined us before for film therapy, here's how it works. I'm going to ask Jonny three questions about film. They're the same three questions each time. What is a film that inspires you? What is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy. And what is a film that helps you through difficult
Yes.
times? And I started this show because I suffer from depression. I find that movies kind of help me cope with depression and escape depression. And so that's kind of where it came from.
Cool.
So there you go. But before we get started, let's get to know Jonny a little bit better. Who are you? Why are you here today?
Uh,
Why have you come to my office?
Well, we just did we did 6 degrees, which was really fun,
Mhm.
and I like the idea of this one as well. My new comedy album, even though it's a comedy album, I actually have a song in there that kind of tackles depression. So
Mhm.
I kind of dig the anything to help people with that. I think it's pretty
Right.
cool, and by no means do I consider myself having a problem with depression. But bottom line is, we're human. It happens to everybody. It happens to
Right.
dogs. It happens to every living, breathing creature. And so I happened to be one day I was coming up with ideas for the album, and I was having one of those days where I was just like I was isolated from everyone. I was off
Mhm.
the grid, and I was just having one of those days where I was like, ugh, what am I doing? And I just started writing this song. I went to
Mm.
my producer. I said, this isn't going to be funny, but if it turns out good, we should put it on the album. And it turned out really good. And so there's a song about depression on the album that I think I've the few people that have listened to it said I could see this helping people. So I like what this show does too.
Well, thank you. I like what this show does. I like that idea on your album, which is going to be coming out soon. Is that right?
It drops August 2nd, but you can do the pre-order link right now on iTunes if you go to quastoalbum.com.
Quasto, Quasto.
Yep, album.com. Yeah,
Awesome. Because I am not so good at spelling
that's
sometimes.
okay.
Sometimes I'm good. Other times I'm like, did I do that right? But you can find, like, if you are having trouble with that, it's also in your Twitter handle, Jay Quasto. So
Sure.
then they can pull it from there,
And
use their skills to Google/search.
yeah, I'll be all over social media. And what I did for that track is the track leading into it. I had a bunch of my friends just record into their phones what happens to them or what thoughts they have when they're having down days and
Hmm.
what they do to bring themselves out of it. And then I cut it all together into like a 45-second track that leads right into the song.
Okay.
So that was really cool. I wanted it to be rough. I wanted it to be like just them recording on their own.
Right.
And I really like how it turned out. Then it goes right into it. So yeah, that's another thing I'm just proud of with the album. So should be
The
fun.
album sounds really cool because you have a lot of different aspects
Thanks.
to it. It's comedy, it's the song, it's a trailer that you've come up with.
It's a lot of social commentary that I do through commercials and characters. Like there's a medication commercial, there's a political commercial. It's a lot of things that I think are messed up about society that I can do through these commercials that kind of just, it's I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of.
It's okay.
Parody in a way.
Mm.
Yeah. And it all just meshes in well with the theme of it. So I really think that if someone gets it, I really think there's something for everyone, and you could listen to it all the way through and you could really get what I was going for. At least that's what I hope. And it's also not dirty.
Mhm.
There's like it's really PG-13, which that wasn't necessarily my plan. It's just that's how it turned out. So
Well, that helps me because then I can listen in front of my children and they won't understand.
yes, there's only one F bomb in the whole album,
Okay,
but
good.
it's one that makes sense.
All right.
So there you go.
Excellent. Well, let's get into our first question, which is what is a movie that inspires you?
I have two that
Okay.
in there's so many movies that do,
Yes.
But there's two in particular for me, and I know this is going to be two that no one would ever say, so I figured
Hmm.
why not?
Sure.
The two that
UHF.
Yep, that's actually one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other one is Dolomite. For
I have never heard of that movie.
It's a black exploitation film from
Okay.
1975,
Awesome.
starring a comedian named Rudy Ray Moore, who's no longer with us. And the reason why these two films inspire me are for different reasons, kind of. UHF inspires me because Weird Al Yankovic took, at the time he was really popular with music and with
Hmm.
parodies, had never done a movie before. And there wasn't a big budget. And they put this movie together, and it's my style of comedy. It's like I was
Hmm.
more inspired by this film than anything else as far as like comedic films go. I
For
love
making your album.
just for making like my short film that I did a couple years ago.
Hmm.
Like I love Naked Gun, I love Airplane, but UHF, that sense of humor just hit me so like right in the heart. And so that's why it inspires me. Like that movie to me, it holds up. I still think it's super funny, it's super goofy. And Dolomite inspires me because Rudy Ray Moore funded the whole film with his own money, and at one point
Mm.
ran out of money. And that's why you can see there's certain shots, you can see the boom mic, you can see the camera crew in the shadows.
Right.
There's one scene where a guy does a super kick and misses the guy's face by like this much, but he did it on his own, and it became this weird cult classic, partially because it was so bad,
Yeah.
which made it so amazing. And then sure enough, there were like 4 or 5 sequels to follow it. But the fact that he did it all on his own, and he was known as, him and Red Fox were known as like the first two X-rated comedians.
Hmm.
Rudy Ray Moore is known as the Godfather of rap. Like you'll hear Snoop mention him in a lot of his lyrics. Like he's a legend. And but at the time, he didn't have a lot of money, but he wanted to make this film, and he did. And so that inspires anyone. If you want to do a
Yeah.
project, you can do it, and you just got to find a way to make it happen. And it might cost you a little bit of money, but you can't put a price on your art, and you can't put a price on
Mhm.
being proud of something that you make. So
I totally understand that because I've done two movie recreation like photo shoots where I've done different stills from different movies
I've
like
seen they're
Gremlins
really good.
and Basic Instinct and things, and I just one day was like I would love to do that, but I just would think like, oh, it would be fun to do that. It would be fun to recreate that image. And I think there just came a time where I was like, well, no one's going to like ask me to do that
No,
for them.
you got
So
to do
I
it.
got to do it myself. And then I was just like, okay, I'm going to put this together, see. And it does cost money to do it right if you want to do it like how you would like it to come out. And that can, but you can also do it on a smaller scale as well.
You could, but I just feel like it's worth it. I mean,
Hmm.
and when you put your heart and soul into something, only good things will come out of it. Whether someone listens to an album or looks at your photo shoot and they get
Hmm.
inspired to do their own thing, only good things come from it. Yeah, some of it may cost some money, but going into it, you realize that. And if you make something that you're proud of, that's the most important thing. You really can't put a price on that. And when Rudy Ray
Right.
Moore went into making Dolomite, he didn't know what was going to come out of it. He didn't realize that he would be able to tour for 30 years after the film.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
and he did. I actually saw him live in Philadelphia in 2002, and
Mhm.
he was still touring essentially as Dolomite. Like he came out in the full gear and the full regalia. And I guarantee when he was making it, he was like, I don't know, let's just make this film. But it was so weird, and just the hustle behind it, I related to that completely. And that's kind of like, with like you said with the photo shoot, no one asked you to do it, but you said, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna make it great. And that's what I chose to do with the album. I was like, I'm gonna put out, in my opinion, the most creative comedy album of the year. And hopefully it's well received. And so,
Right.
no, we'll see what happens.
I'm excited for it to come out.
I am too.
I'm going to
I really hope people like it.
pre-order as well. I will go on
Thanks.
quastoalbum.com
Yeah.
to pre-order.
Thank you. So yeah, those two movies, watch them.
UHF, I definitely rewatched recently when you were on 6 Degrees. Johnny has been on 6 Degrees twice. The first time was over a year
A
ago,
while ago.
and that was before we started doing video.
Mhm.
And yeah, we talked about UHF, and
Yeah.
and I had rewatched it. I was like, I have not watched this since I was a kid.
Now tell me you enjoyed it, right?
I enjoy it. It's funny.
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like something I would choose to watch regularly,
And that's okay.
but
Hey, to each his own.
I appreciate it.
Hmm.
Definitely appreciate the Indiana Jones parody. That was probably
I
my favorite
mean,
part. The Wheel of Fish. There's so many great things.
that's the great thing about UHF. There's parody and then there's slapstick. And I think
Mhm.
slapstick can be brilliant. And I think UHF meshes the two of them so well, like Conan the Librarian, like stuff like that. It's just,
Mhm.
it to me, it's the perfect 90-minute film that just super happy.
I miss 90-minute films. I really
Yeah.
do. They're not really around anymore.
You're right. Most comedies still lean towards 90. But as far as like action
Mhm.
films and, oh boy, they go
We're
long,
getting to be 2 hours.
at least.
There was a time. What was it? The other I was like, Spider Man's going just a hair long
How
for
long
me,
was
just
it?
a hair long. It was like 2 hours 14 minutes.
That's not too bad. I mean,
It's not bad, not bad. Just a little over.
well, what's crazy is Wonder Woman, I think, was 222. And honestly, it zipped by because I loved it so much.
That's true.
It
You're
didn't
right.
seem like 220 at all.
You're right.
But I still see Spider Man.
I enjoyed Spider Man. I'm feeling the superhero fatigue though at this time.
I
It's starting to set in for me.
I start to wonder about that. So, was it worth the recreation, if you will, or the redoing of Spider Man, or
I'm probably not the best one to ask because I didn't see the Amazing Spider Man
which was only
series
how many years ago?
not that long ago.
Okay, yeah,
With Andrew Garfield, I didn't watch that series, so I don't. So I only know Tobey Maguire and this.
got it.
And going from that to this, yeah, if you want to bring Spider-Man into the Avengers universe,
This kid was good though. I
so
thought like I
it
didn't see.
makes sense.
I really liked him in the last film. I think he's a really good Spider Man.
Mm-hmm.
Good kid. He's like
Yeah,
21. Oh my
of course, of course.
god. But yeah, what do you enjoy more, Wonder Woman or Spider Man?
Oh, Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to be tired of female-led
Nope.
superhero films.
It was
I feel like
everything.
that I will consume that at all costs.
Everything about that movie. I saw it at 9 in the morning because we had to do
Hmm.
DC movie news right afterwards, so I had to see it.
Right.
Like, so I was like, well, because I couldn't see it the night before. I was like, well, where's a 9 o'clock showing? Luckily, there was one. I saw it by
Yeah.
myself. Essentially, got emotional like 3 times. I'm like, it's too early for this. God, it was such a good film. Like when, well, actually, we'll get into. I think that's one of the films.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get into our next question, which is what is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy.
Most recently, it was Wonder Woman
Okay.
because I have two. Both my grandfathers were in World War II, and I know this takes
Hmm.
place in World War One, but both wars were catastrophic and were incredibly dangerous to be
Hmm.
involved in.
Right.
And there's that scene in No Man's Land, which was a real thing. Um, one night you see the town and they're happy and they're dancing, and next thing you know, it's destroyed.
Right.
That was a scene that just got me because I mean, I look at, you know, my grandfather was wounded really bad. Like
Hmm.
he was in one of the first groups to storm Normandy
Yeah.
on D-Day. He got hit really bad, and to where I actually saw an amazing documentary on Netflix recently that Spielberg did. It was called Five Came Back. It was about five really successful filmmakers who risked their lives to go to World War II to film it.
Whoa.
Gotta see it. It's called Five Came Back. It's amazing. And I'm watching this old footage of D-Day that like for all intents and purposes, I didn't even know it existed. And
Hmm.
I'm watching this footage and I'm like, oh my God, my grandfather might be in there somewhere. Like he
Right.
was. And he got injured so badly, they actually literally had to take him and hide him on the side of like a pathway in a road
Hmm.
for like 5 hours before a US truck actually could find him and get him.
Right.
And so he was given 3 Purple Hearts. But I think back to that, I mean, he almost died if
Did he
he would have.
lose a limb or
No, I mean
anything like that?
he ended up he lived to be almost 95,
Wow.
and he was a coal miner and had black lung disease.
Hmm.
Still lived to be almost 95 years old. That's
That's pretty amazing.
that's that generation for you.
It is for
But
sure. My husband's grandfather also stormed the beach in Normandy. One of
whoa,
the first or second waves.
okay, yeah, then
Um,
they
they would have been together.
they
He
were.
had this book where it like showed a picture of the men before they were getting on the boat,
Mhm.
and like it's a group of them, just like kind of I don't know if I don't think they were all looking at the camera,
Yeah.
but he says, "Can you find me in this photo?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right there." And he was like, "How did you know that?" I was like, "I just looked for my husband," and like
Oh
that's who
my
it is.
God, he has a photo of him right before he went.
Yes, It was
That's
smiling,
incredible.
which is crazy. I mean, I guess because someone has a camera, maybe
Yeah,
your
but
instinct is to smile. You're like, oh dear.
I mean, I think they knew it's crazy because if you watch the actual video footage of D-Day,
Hmm.
charging into certain depth. They're charging into open fire. Is what it
Right.
did. I mean, I forget how many people we lost. I think we lost 4,000 people in a day, or I forget what the exact numbers were, but it was insane. And like they
Hmm.
literally were storming off the boat and just charging full speed ahead. And no wonder my grandfather got hit and injured. And
Right.
and I think back to it, if he would have died, I wouldn't be here. And so anything involving World War I or World War II that's done well,
Hmm.
it just gets me because I think
Yeah.
back to like I think how usually things that make me emotional is things that make me realize how lucky I have it and how difficult that must have been.
Right.
And yeah, three Purple Hearts. He survived, and I have a track dedicated to him on the album as well. And yeah, so that scene really got me for sure. And also, Forrest Gump makes me cry every time.
Well, because it's Forrest Gump.
I'm like everyone. It makes me cry.
Yes. I feel like Saving Private Ryan was probably
Oof.
pretty emotional for you then.
Yep,
And how are you feeling about Dunkirk?
I have not seen it.
Well, it's coming out in 2 weeks. Two
Okay,
weeks?
that's why I haven't seen it.
So, but I believe it's World War II. It takes place at the same time.
Then I will see it
So
for
I'm
sure.
excited to see it. But yeah, you get those emotions
You
about
really do.
war.
It's because you don't realize we in a modern age we don't
Hmm.
really one of my dream projects that I would love to do, and this is one of those that you just got to make it yourself. I would love to do a documentary finding 10 of the oldest living American soldiers from World War II
Hmm.
and just sitting down and interviewing them while showing photos and things that they still have from the war and
Yeah.
just getting their life story and
Yeah.
just getting their story about what they had. I think that would be really fun documentary. And unfortunately, with each passing day, there's less and less around.
Hmm.
I think we're down to under 1,000. There might be under 1,000 American soldiers still alive from World War II. I'm not sure. So that's a project I really want to do.
Now, have you seen Restrepo?
Mm-mm.
That's a really great documentary that shows like modern war
Oh,
and like going into one area and being with these same men the entire time and seeing how it affects them. That's one I'd
oof.
recommend. That's on Netflix.
Okay.
So 5K is what the one is called with Spielberg.
Five came back.
5K and back.
Yeah,
And do you know where you can find that?
that's on Netflix.
Okay,
I happen
perfect.
to I look under documentaries all the time,
Okay.
and it was five very successful filmmakers back in that era,
Hmm.
and they all kind of instinctively chose on their own to film as much of the war as they could, and they all had
Hmm.
like different kind of all had different jobs. Some did better than others. One actually got kicked out. I mean, it's a really crazy story. And Steven Spielberg gets other filmmakers like Benicio del Toro is there. I'm sorry, Guillermo del Toro is there, along with a couple others. And it's a three-part series. And boy, is
Hmm.
it good. It's wow. Yeah.
Spielberg knows how to shoot war, like in terms of
Yeah.
showing us
Well, you can
what it's
tell
all
his
about.
appreciation for that
Hmm.
generation and what World War II was. And you could tell Spielberg's a historian. And so the fact that he made
Right.
it, I give kudos to him. If anyone knows Spielberg, tell him about my documentary. I need it. Or if you have money and you want to
There you
fund
go.
it,
There you
you know,
go. We could do GoFundMe
sure.
slash
I feel
Patreon.
like I don't do crowdfunding, but I
I
feel
know it's
like
hard.
it is. But I feel like that documentary is one project where people might actually want to donate
Yeah.
because I feel like this is our generation's last chance to pay homage to that generation
Hmm.
because they're almost gone. So,
Let's get into our third and final question, which is, what is a film that helps you through difficult times?
oh man, there's you probably have a lot, right?
I do.
It's hard to pick one.
It is, but that's the beauty of the show because then you could return another time and talk about totally
Yeah,
different
I mean,
films.
I want to say there's two off the bat right now, but I
Hmm.
think the one that automatically always puts me in the best mood is Big Lebowski, just
Okay,
because my friends and I can quote the
the
entire
entire
movie.
movie. Yeah.
That and Kids in the Hall Brain Candy, but for okay, for this purpose, I will say Big Lebowski.
Okay.
Yeah, it's genius, and it's from start to finish. It's the weirdest movie ever, and it's the kind of movie that you might not get the first time you see it. I know a lot of people that have seen it
Hmm.
once, and they're like, "Why do you like it so much?" I'm like, "You don't get
Because the rug really ties the room
it. It
together.
does."
It does.
And the whole movie ties my life together. It was just amazing. The cast was incredible. And the whole movie's so quotable. Like everything
Mhm.
that happens in the movie, you could have conversations with people about.
Now, when was the first time you saw it? Do you know?
Oh boy. I never saw it in theaters, which I believe it came out in 98. I want to say I saw it early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like college-ish,
It was
almost college.
yeah,
I don't know how old you are, so
kind of
can't
sort
gauge.
you and I are about the same age.
Okay.
It was kind of yeah, kind of like college-ish and then one of my best friends from high school who ended up moving to California with me, uh he showed it to a bunch of us and then we just became obsessed with it.
Hmm. How
So,
many times do you think you've seen it now?
uh-oh. Uh 25
Okay, that's not so bad.
ish. Yeah. Unfortunately, now in my life, I rarely have time to sit down and watch a movie. Like,
Right? Hmm.
it's gonna have to be like with Netflix, you could download stuff now. So
You
I
can
could,
download stuff on Netflix?
yeah, on your phone.
Stop
If you're gonna
it.
travel, you can download anything from Netflix and watch it without Wi-Fi on your phone. It got me through my flight to
That is
Pakistan.
incredible. Is there like a limit to
Nope.
how many things? 10 movies? 10 hours?
Which isn't bad.
10 movies.
Yeah, because like it got me through my flight to Pakistan. It was great. It was a long trip.
If we're saying 10 movies, could it be a TV show series, like a season?
Yes, I
Would that
downloaded.
count as one movie?
I downloaded all of 13 Reasons Why. I didn't really like it. It was
Oh,
good.
I don't.
I just don't like the message. I don't like
Like,
the message it
right.
sent. I feel like they, not that I want to shit on it, but I feel like they didn't get the message across they wanted to. The message this show should have said was, "Hey, don't take your own life. It's really bad." To me, the message I got is, "Hey,
This is your only option.
if you're gonna take your own life, get creative and get revenge on people that you didn't like." And I don't like that, man. Some girl
Mm,
already tried to recreate that,
stop.
and she did.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. So, but anyways, I did watch it because everyone told me to, and afterwards I was like, I don't like this. This too. It's
Yeah,
not my
I
bag.
was. It was recommended to me as well, and I by my hosting coach, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch that
Nope.
because
You don't need to.
I was like, as a person that dealt with having suicidal thoughts for like over 17 years, like I couldn't come to seeing something like that on screen.
No,
So,
it was a well done show. It was just misdirected, in my opinion. And unfortunately, in today's society, you're gonna have people recreating stuff. So
mhm.
that's why I like projects that are all about positivity and fun and uplifting stuff.
Yes,
That's always what I go towards. So that's what I gravitate towards at least.
it makes sense. The
Hmm.
dude abides.
The dude
That's all
abides for
I'm
sure. This aggression will not stand, man.
saying. My husband quotes The Big Lebowski a lot
He's a good
as
guy.
well.
He's a
As
very
well.
smart man.
We don't drink a lot of White Russians,
They're good
but
drinks, though. I mean, they're like they're specialty drinks. They're the kind of drinks you have once in a while when it's like you're celebrating. Like, you know what?
mhm.
I'll take a Caucasian.
And what's that?
That's a White Russian.
Oh,
Jeffrey
okay.
Lebowski
Okay.
calls them Caucasians for some reason. And he makes like the shitty White Russians. He makes them with like powdered milk and stuff. But
Mm,
a good White
mm,
Russian, ooh, it's tough to beat.
mm. Well, maybe I'll have to try that next time I'm out.
Yeah, you don't want to get drunk off White Russians because your lactose level will be really high. It's a
Oh.
lot of dairy in
What about a lactose-free one?
there.
Do they make those?
Oh, is it possible? Yeah, I guess you could maybe make it with almond milk or something.
Well, they make lactose-free milk, which actually tastes a lot like just milk.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I got some in the refrigerator if you want to try it.
then by all
Try it
means,
out.
just White Russian it up then.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not a bad
Okay.
idea.
Okay. I like it. Well, we've come to the end of our show. Johnny, where can everyone find you?
jlocomedy.com or at jquasto, and of course quastoalbum.com if you want to support the hustle. And I really think you'll love the album, and I love your feedback on it too. I really think it's a special thing, and I think you'll like it.
Yeah, it's always nice to get feedback when it's positive
I don't
feedback.
mind negative feedback too. Look,
As long as
comedy,
you're kind about it.
yeah, comedy's very subjective. And look, it's a
Yes.
71-minute album. Not
Mm,
everything is going to be for everyone, but I do believe it's a really smooth transitional listen all the way through.
mhm.
And also DC Movie News, we're on there every week. I'm going to miss this week. I have to fly to Chicago tomorrow. But yeah, DC Movie News with Roxy Stryer, Adam Gertler, Mike Kalinowski, and myself.
I learned last week from Mike that his nickname is Mikey Christmas,
Loves
which
Christmas. He is Christmas all year round.
okay, okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's kind of
He's
cute.
adorable. He
I love
loves, like,
it.
he literally, Christmas lights him up like a tree.
I'm excited to
He's a
see
great
that
guy.
this year.
So talented too. So I'm very happy for his success this year. It's been great.
You guys can find me all day, every day on Twitter at Miss Movies. You can also check out my network on missmovies.net. And that is pretty much it.
Cool.
We will have a film therapy tomorrow with Dr. Claw. So check that
Ooh.
out.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.